And today in a cabinet meeting, the government decided to ban e-cigarettes. This was announced by Nirmala Sitharaman after the cabinet meeting, and they came out to say that this is a significant step. And here is what an e-cigarette is. Before I tell you why the government wants to ban it and what the real debate is about, for those of you who don't know, these are actually shaped like cigarettes or cigar or like a pen actually in many cases. They're battery operated, they're electronic cigarettes. They don't have tobacco, but they do contain nicotine. Of late, the e-cigarettes that are available in the market are also available in different flavors. Just like you had the whole trend of hookahs across the country at one point of time in different flavors, now it's this e-cigarettes which have become a little bit of a trend, at least in your big cities, especially amongst youngsters. This device actually has a solution that turns into mist that is then inhaled by the user. And the amount of nicotine can actually vary from device to device or the setting that you have. So that's what essentially an e-cigarette is. And the government has now moved to ban e-cigarette, or what many call as vape, thereby the entire exercise of vaping. Now, here is the government's case for why they have brought in this ban. The government says the WHO does not endorse e-cigarettes. That the World Health Organization says that e-cigarettes are not good for you. Contrary to what many others would have heard, that it helps you quit smoking, that it's not so bad for your health, the WHO disagrees. Government says it can also be used to deliver psychoactive substances, that it is highly addictive in nature because obviously it still has nicotine. That's the addictive part even in a cigarette. And that it is essentially a threat to the country's tobacco control efforts. It is a hindrance, the government says, and there's a detailed press release over that. It is a hindrance in achieving sustainable development goals, and that in the interest of public health, as per Article 47 of the Constitution, Government of India has the right and has chosen to ban these e-cigarettes. There's a huge controversy going on, and of course, one of the big questions that many are asking tonight is that if the government is concerned about the health of its people, why not ban cigarettes, ones that actually have tobacco and nicotine? So that's one question we'll ask our panelists. We'll also ask and try and understand what was the rush. Why did the government actually go through the ordinance route? This is not a law that the parliament is passing for now. This has actually been promulgated as an ordinance. What's the rush here? Why is the government in a hurry to bring about this ban? And like I said, the big question is, what about the fight against tobacco? What about the fight against cigarettes? The cancer-causing cigarettes. Prakash Javadekar was asked this question in this media interaction. Here is that excerpt.
आपने रिपोर्ट का हवाला दिया कि सिगरेट में हेल्थ के जोखिम काफ़ी ज़्यादा होते हैं। यूएस गवर्नमेंट के तरफ से एक रिपोर्ट नेशनल एकेडमी ऑफ साइंस ने जारी की थी, जिसने कहा था ई सिगरेट में हेल्थ रिस्क होता है, लेकिन कन्वेंशनल सिगरेट के मुकाबले काफ़ी कम होता है। तो हम लोग कन्वेंशनल सिगरेट पे कोई एक्शन ना लें, सिर्फ ई सिगरेट पे ले, इसके पीछे क्या लॉजिक है?
इसका उत्तर तो 2 दिन के बाद आने पर और विस्तार से आप हर्षवर्धन जी से चर्चा करेंगे। लेकिन जो एक नया एडिक्शन तैयार हो रहा है, उसको समय पर ही प्रिवेंट करना, और सिगरेट का भी अभी जिस तरह से अवेयरनेस और कैंपेन बहुत इफेक्टिवली चल रहा है, उसका भी एक परिणाम है। जैसे पब्लिक प्लेसेस में धीरे धीरे बंद होता गया, तो वो आज अनेक क्षेत्र ऐसे हो गए कि जहां सिगरेट नहीं होता है।
Let's say good evening to our panelists. Then Cyril Alexander, State Convener, Tamil Nadu People's Forum for Tobacco Control, joins us this evening. Samrat Chaudhary, Director for Association of Vapers India, obviously not in support of this ban, joins us this evening. Dr. Professor Vishal Rao, member of the High Power Committee on Tobacco Control for the Government of Karnataka, also with us this evening. We'll also have Dr. Sajeela Maini, President of the Tobacco Control Foundation of India, with us shortly. But let me go across to Samrat Chaudhary first and understand where he stands on this. Samrat, are e-cigarettes and, vapors as dangerous as cigarette? Why oppose a ban if it's becoming a form of addiction, especially amongst the youth?
Well, see, first of all, they are significantly less harmful than. Another important thing is that they're primarily used by smokers to wean away from smoking. And that is why in countries, so 68 countries have regulated their use. And these are all advanced nations, all of EU, Canada, US, New Zealand. And many of them are seeing accelerated declines in smoking. UK, which is pro-vaping, now has the lowest recorded smoking rates. US also has the lowest recorded smoking rate. So, and there are 40 million vapors in a short span of time. Now, that's a huge public health gain. These are the people we have been trying to wean off from smoking for a really long time. In India, for all the tobacco control efforts, the decline has been very marginal. It is 6% decline between 2010 and 17. At this rate, it will be decades before we eliminate tobacco. So let's look at more ways that smokers can quit, and vaping provides that alternative. And by banning this, the government is in effect denying 11 crore smokers in this country an option to wean off smoking.
Okay, let me ask Dr. Professor Vishal Rao if he agrees, or do you back the government's decision, Dr. Rao?
Tanvi, I think from our perspective, what I would like to highlight, and I think the point that has received less attention is, I think like we keep talking about cigarettes versus e-cigarettes, the story needs to be discussed not around the two, but around the common denominator of nicotine. Now, if you look at cigarette, every single cigarette has about 1 milligram of nicotine. If you look at some of the latest e-cigarette devices, they have in one single cartridge 300 milligram of nicotine, of which if you look at it from a medical standpoint, just 60 milligram of nicotine is lethal to human body, which can even be fatal. So from a point of view of a health standing, I think we know that this entire business is not about e-cigarettes or about cigarettes, it's about nicotine.
Yeah.
And the entire business module is around addictions and how to promote addictions.
Okay.
Well, I would quickly refute that. It's not factually true. If 60 mg was the limit, fatal limit, and if e-cigarettes are 300 mg, we'd have millions of deaths by now. The fact is that e-cigarettes do contain nicotine, but in a cigarette, what's causing the harm is the tar and the 7,000 chemicals of which 80 are carcinogenic. Let's not decouple the delivery mechanism from what's happening. Nicotine is delivered, but how is it delivered? If you burn tobacco leaves, if you burn let's say tea leaves tomorrow and smoke it, you'll die from it. That's the delivery. You wouldn't say tea is the problem. You'd say the way you consume that tea is a problem.
Okay, but the fact of the matter is, on a comparative basis, it may be different, but there is no denying the fact that even these devices are leading to addiction in some way, especially in youngsters who probably have difficulty in accessing cigarettes, are trying these because they also come in different flavors. They also look cool, and they're all trying this out. So there is a concern there. The government says, let's nip it in the bud before it becomes a widespread problem like the cigarette industry and the cigarette addiction is in our country. Let's stop this before it becomes a giant problem like that. Dr. Maini, where do you stand on this debate? Do you think this is a good move and it helps in our battle against tobacco and addiction and even fight against nicotine?
Definitely, I think this is an excellent move. Yeah, I really welcome the government step for the whole thing. It's really a welcome move. Yes, I do it. Because this is now becoming an epidemic. It's not like it's sooner. It's actually having an impact on the young children. I have seen so many. Now earlier, what happened? The e-cigarette came as a harm reduction model. Yeah, for helping people quit smoking. But they now have entered into a bigger this thing, and now people are starting with e-cigarettes. Yeah, with Juul, with vapes, with different, and in youngsters, I I am a tobacco cessation specialist at Gangaram Hospital. Day in and day out, I see smokers, I see tobacco people, and now I am seeing a huge lot of youngsters who is coming in with the vaping problem. Yeah, and the students are from class 8th, class 9th, and class 10th. If I ask them, have you tried a cigarette and you've shifted over to the e-cigarette model, they said, no. Cigarette is for the older population, for the uncles. This is this for uncle and aunties. It's an old-fashioned thing. Now the new-fashioned thing is the vape, the jewel, because the design is such design. It looks like a USB drive. You don't get caught. There's no smell of it, and people say that is this lesser harmful than a cigarette? No, it is not. We don't have ample research to prove this, but as far as I have seen in my patients, we have people who are consuming both the stuff, both the smoking and the vaping. They say this has a different high. The
But Dr.
nicotine
Maini,
pod that is given that's a different high.
okay, let me ask you this, Dr. Maini, because there are many who are asking tonight, where is the research? Where is the data? How widespread is it? And what is its impact, on health? The government hasn't given us anything. So do we have any substantive data available?
Yeah, definitely. We have data.
Can I add to that?
But yes, one at a time. Dr. Maini first.
Let me just complete.
Yes. Dr. Maini first.
Let me just complete.
Samrat, I'll come to you.
Cigarette, vape or e-cigarette is a new phenomena. It's a recent phenomena. Yeah. Any particular stuff to have its impact will take at least 5 or 10 years down the line. With cigarettes also, the research in cigarettes started after 50 years. Then we got to know that smoking is causing lung cancer. What I have seen, in my this thing, we have so many patients coming. It has an impact on the brain, on the cognitive functioning of the brain, on the lungs, on the cardiovascular systems, on the entire. It leads to a severe addiction so much that the child starts stealing. What is more important? Let me tell you. A person starts smoking at the age of 18 to 22. If he doesn't start at that age, he will not become a smoker. He will not start smoking. And now the youngsters are actually entering. They have started.
So let me take that point. I take your point.
That is why there are around 7,000. They have around 7,000 flavors in it, and 460, more than 500, close to 500 brands in it.
Stop the flavors.
Big industry.
That is something that can definitely be done. Stop the sale of these devices to minors. Why are they being sold to minors to begin with? Any which ways regulated, just like you regulate your cigarettes, is the argument from the other side. But let me bring in Cyril Alexander as well. Cyril, here is the other point. If youngsters are actually choosing this, 1 minute, Dr. Na, if youngsters are actually preferring e-cigarettes or, vapors over actual cigarettes, which has tobacco and nicotine both, then is that really a bad thing? At least they are not trying something which is definitely more dangerous?
See, the tobacco industry is targeting the children, and then they're using the new technology. So the technology has to be used for good purposes, but here the technology is used for a bad thing. So tobacco industry is coming with a new product, and then it's attracted by the children. So easily they are attracted, and then they are using the e-cigarettes. And then all the schools, if you are going to the school, the children are having this e-cigarettes, and then they are introducing this e-cigarette to their peer group members, their friends, and then it's spreading like anything. So this is the correct time. The banning, the e-cigarette ban is coming here. So really we have to appreciate the government, especially banning the product. It's not regulating the product, it's banning the product. But the tobacco industry always compare with the conventional cigarette and e-cigarette. Here we are talking about the e-cigarette, not the conventional cigarette. And then the tobacco product has to be banned. Complete ban is our aim. But at the same time, this is the next. This is the first step.
So I would agree with you. Now, if health is a concern for our government, and if the government is concerned about the health of youngsters and addiction and the harmful effects of tobacco, ban cigarettes. Which government can show us the commitment to actually do that, to actually take on the entire tobacco industry and the tobacco lobby and say, no, cigarettes are harmful, let's just ban those. Samrat, obviously you have a lot of points to make in response to what our panelists have said. Go ahead, please.
So I'll start with the tobacco industry argument. Well, look at the stocks today. Today, after the ban announcement, RTC stock went up by 1.5%. GPI stock went up by 3.5 or 5.3%. Now, if tobacco industry was losing from this, why are their stocks going up? Second point, if tobacco industry is the problem, then why does the government still own 28% of ITC? So, I mean, let's not make that argument that it's helping the tobacco industry. The fact is that vaping, wherever it's been allowed, has accelerated the decline of smoking. Well, smoking has been declining for 2 decades, but in the last few years, the decline has been accelerated. It was about 8% fall in cigarette sales in US alone last year. Now, that's a significant public health gain. So that tobacco industry
Sir,
argument first of all doesn't make sense.
there's a shift of
Let me quickly address this whole thing
sir, there's
about
a let me just
the
complete his
whole
point, sir.
argument.
One minute, Dr.
shift.
Maini. Dr. Maini, 1
My
minute. Let
turn
him
to
finish
speak.
his
My turn to
points.
speak.
Let him finish his point. He heard out everybody, and then I'll come back to you. Go ahead, Samrat.
See, this whole debate about teen. So we have left science behind. We are not even talking about empirical evidence. We are focusing the whole debate on teen. Now, all of them have given personal examples. Where is the data? First of all, let's look at countries which have allowed vape. In UK, so we have this news of teen epidemic or something in the US, but why don't we have it in any other country? I can tell you why. In US, they record data for ever use. The question asked in their surveys is, did you ever use this product in the last 30 days? Now, we all know that teens experiment with a lot of stuff, and that's where it gets recorded. And that's why in UK, for example, they record regular use. And that is why you don't have teen vaping epidemic in UK or in any other country. Now, while we support that any regulation or policy move to keep these products out of the hands of minors, all should be done in that regard, in our view. But do not discount that this country has 11 crore smokers, 13.5 lakh of whom die every year. They also have rights. They also pay taxes. You cannot just brush them away or pretend that they don't exist.
Okay. Okay. Dr. Maini can respond, and then I'll go across to Dr. Rao for the last word. Dr. Maini first. Yeah.
They pay taxes for what, sir? They pay taxes for selling this is poison. This is also poison. That is also just 1 minute, sir. Let me just complete.
Ma'am, if something kills 8 million people a year, that's a bigger poison.
It's not about. We are not.
I hope you understand what harm reduction means.
Cigarette sale has not come down. If you listen, see, there is no harm reduction. Please, sir, there is no harm reduction with this. Sir, I understand harm reduction better than anybody in this country. There is no harm reduction with this, sir. Please let us.
I genuinely don't have the time for this argument right now. Very quickly, if we can just allow Dr. Maini to finish your point, please. Yes, Dr. Maini.
It is banned in 25 countries. Wherever it has been researched, it has been banned. See, it's a recent phenomenon. This researchers will come. But do we need to have the research? Why not nip it in the bud? Why not? We are not saying keep cigarettes. Cigarettes are also bad. We are not debating whether, as sir said, we are not debating whether cigarette is bad or
no, but I am asking the question that why aren't we banning cigarettes? But I am asking the question, why aren't we banning the cigarettes? I am asking the question, why has the government rushed into this? Why has the government brought in an ordinance? Not even actually legislated it via the method of parliament, brought in an ordinance to implement this ban. If the government is in such a hurry, what was the basis of the government's decision? Where is the data that is available? It's not okay to simply say that vaping is uncool. So we've banned it. Very good that you've taken a step to ban a product which may become a tool of addiction amongst our youngsters. So that's a good step to be taken. But Dr. Rao, we can't stop here. The government needs to take on the bigger problem, which is the tobacco industry, which is cigarette smoking, which is very prevalent even amongst youngsters, 13-year-olds, 14-year-olds, BDs.
I must tell you, so I just would like to add one point on evidence, since we are all talking on evidence. There are very, very good publications from the most reputed journals like the Lancet, which have shown that with e-cigarettes, it does not help to quit. I think what the audience need to know is, please do not go with the wrong message that because e-cigarettes are banned, you can't quit cigarette. The first truth is that e-cigarettes does not help quit tobacco but e-cigarettes have known to start people using tobacco also because of the new addiction. So the pride that it is smoking has declined and e-cigarettes is rising is just shifting one epidemic to another and feeling proud, but businesses have changed hands. It is not the health.
Okay, fair enough. Actually, that's a good point to wrap up this debate, and I'm going to thank all of our panelists on that note, that at the end of the day, if the cause of concern is your and my health, then it doesn't matter. It's not a comparison between e-cigarettes versus genuine cigarettes. It has to be a policy which is an overarching policy to fight this entire menace. Firstly, keep it away from children. Have better regulations in place. Crack down better on those who are selling these products to minors in schools. Just to say because an e-cigarette looks like a pen and so children can get away is not enough. Secondly, let's properly research. Provide us the data. What's the impact? What's the harmful effects? How widespread is it? Is it as widespread as the use and consumption of BDs and cigarettes in our country? Is it as dangerous and fatal as consumption and smoking of cigarettes and BDs in our country? Or is it just easy for the government to target one side, which they should, and not look at the other end? Something to think about. For now, of course, e-cigarettes have been banned in our country. Thank you so much for joining us on debate number 2. And it's time for our daily Eco Tracker capsule. Now, news number 1 on this capsule, Niti Aayog Chief Amitabh Kant has said that he expects another quarter of slow growth, one more set of 3 months of slow growth before the economy picks up pace. He also added that the trade war between United States and China should be viewed as an opportunity for India to scale up our exports. Probably that will help to revive the economy a little bit more. News point number 2. General Motors India has become the 3rd auto company to offer voluntary retirement, the VRS scheme, to its employees in an attempt to cut costs. With a slowdown across the auto industry intensifying, General Motors India is also on a cost-cutting spree. They, of course, as a company themselves, have had several other operational issues in the recent times. After transferring 1,300 employees from the technical center to TCS via a deal on Monday, the company has now offered voluntary retirement to its employees in its Talegaon plant in Maharashtra. The big point number 3, petrol and diesel prices were hiked by about 24 to 25 paise per litre today. That's the steepest increase that we've seen since the budget was announced in the month of July. This could be a fallout, of course, of the spike in global oil prices following the drone attacks on Saudi Arabian crude oil facilities. Remember, 6% of the global oil comes from these Saudi Arabia facilities. With global prices going up, petrol prices in India were increased today by 25 paise per litre. And of course, diesel also by 24 paise per litre. Completely out of time on this edition of The Last Word. Have a good night.